E-commerce expansion myths blasted. Successful cross-border expansion help. Listen to the show to hear how one UK company is helping e-commerce sellers successfully expand into Europe and double their profits. Hosted by Andy Hooper of Global E-commerce Experts.
So good afternoon everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of our podcast, which is coming down to probably the single most question that we get asked in the office every single day, and that is Brexit. It is the biggest question we get asked, and we are excited today because we've come into London to meet with Hamish here, who's going to talk us through Brexit and what's happening. So this is Hamish, so congratulations and welcome to Hamish. Hamish, why don't you just introduce yourself and where you're from?
So, Hamish Muirs, I work for a business called OFX. We are a publicly listed foreign exchange broker, originally from Australia, but we help now businesses all over the world, whether they're customers in the US, in Europe, with all sorts of foreign currency needs. So whether it's their importing, exporting costs, or I guess in your case, businesses that are selling on Amazon, selling on eBay, across all the different platforms, amazon.co.uk, .de, .fr, .com predominantly as well.
Perfect, excellent. So,
let's bit about
yeah. So Brexit. I mean, this is the key. We're gonna in this episode, we're really gonna go from the basics forwards to give you a real understanding of what's happening. So, Hamish, why don't you start off with really simple. What's Brexit?
Well, it all started a number of years ago, 2016. Former Prime Minister David Cameron announced that he was going to hold a referendum with regards to our membership to the EU. And this came about because a large part of his party, the Tory party, they'd been Eurosceptics for a long time, and there was concerns whether some of his popularity, some of his voters were moving over to a different party, a party UKIP, who were very anti-Europe and very vocal about it. So David Cameron announces he's going to renegotiate our deal with the EU, and then off the back of that also hold a referendum. Now his renegotiation doesn't go so well, so we come to the referendum in summer of 2016, which I'm sure that we all know the UK, to the tune of 52% voted to leave the EU.
Excellent. Now you say the EU. What is the EU?
So EU is a bloc, and it's predominantly, and I guess for your clients, and the most important aspect is it's a trading bloc. It's the single largest trading bloc in the world, and our membership of it meant free movement of goods and services from the UK into Germany, into France, and vice versa, and from mainland Europe into the UK as well. So it's a trading bloc that's managed out of Brussels, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So now we know what the EU is. The UK has said in a referendum that 52% of the UK population wanted to leave the EU. So what's the story since the vote then?
Well, so from a foreign currency point of view, and our bread and butter, we saw immediately after the referendum a lot of uncertainty. Generally in the markets, it wasn't a very popular outcome, and as a result, sterling crashed around 16% against the euro and 20-something% against the US dollar. So that was the immediate shock and after effect, and that against the US dollar in particular, it's the popularity of Brexit. I've always said it's like a litmus test. It's really presents what the markets and what investors feel about in the UK economy and UK growth.
Yeah.
So
from our clients' point of view, actually, who are based in the States, from a currency point of view, they were better off.
Yes, certainly, and we saw that. We saw big pickup in internal flows and from questions from customers who are immediately taking advantage of the now stronger US dollar compared to the pound, and that pound weakness immediately made it much more competitive for foreign companies to be selling into the UK, and similarly for UK companies that are selling abroad in mainland Europe in particular.
Which is great, it's a great opportunity for people. So we've done the vote. The currency had a bit of a fluctuation. What's really happened next? Where are we today, if you like?
Well, different governments, EU negotiation sort of finalised, I guess. Although that looks like it could change. So David Cameron's resigned, and Theresa May's come in. She's also had a general election in order to justify her position and her mandate. Unfortunately, and it didn't go too well for Prime Minister Theresa May, and she lost a big majority that the Tory party had beforehand, and so she lost that, and so she's had to go into a government of supply and confidence, I think it's called, with the DUP, which is a crucial party in Northern Ireland. And it's that Northern Ireland that plays it's that Northern Ireland question that plays a very, very important role in Brexit as it stands.
Yeah, and we're going to come on to that in a moment, I suspect. So we've got a withdrawal agreement. Which was triggered by something called Article 50. What is Article 50? Because that's a key part that people might want to...
Yeah, so this is a big date to keep in mind. Article 50 was triggered 2 years ago, and it gave the UK 2 years to negotiate a deal with the EU. That end date is March the 29th.
This year?
This year,
that's
2019. So as things stand, the UK is set to leave the EU on March the 29th.
So essentially, so far today, we've had 2 years to negotiate with the EU, which we've done. We have an agreement with the EU. So what happens next?
So as things stand, Theresa May's, she presented her plan to Parliament, and it was meant to be a vote in December. She postponed it to try and get more support for her plan, her Brexit withdrawal agreement. She kicked the can down the road to January, which is where we are today, and she lost the vote pretty comprehensively last week. It was the biggest loss that government's had in decades and decades. Long before my time, long before your time. She then had around about a week or 3 or 4 days to renegotiate, and the hope was that she'd cross the aisle and bring in the Labour Party to actually understand what Parliament as a whole wanted. Plan B didn't really look any different to Plan A in the eyes of many, and so it's still expected that when Plan B is voted on at the end of January, that she's going to lose that vote still.
And she's still negotiating with the EU and different parties to try and resolve that before she finalises. Is that fair? So
the EU have kind of said since November, I think, we're no more negotiating. We've put our cards on the table. This is the plan.
So we've got a vote on is the 29th of January. Round about then. But the leave date, as it stands today, is the 29th of March. So what happens as of today? What happens come the 29th of March?
Well, if nothing changes really, Theresa May loses that plan. It looks like the UK will literally come crashing out of Europe with a no deal. There's a small number of MPs, across a couple of different parties who think, no, that's fine. We leave the EU, we crash out, and we can then start with a completely blank slate and negotiate everything again. And I'm not sure about you, but my feelings would be, your clients would not want that. No one really wants...
Doesn't sound stable, does it?
No one really wants at the start of April, or their new financial year, which is the start of April for a lot of people, to not understand that relationship with the UK and Europe, And we're talking about, hour-long queues at Dover and Calais, confusion over whether people can, go to Europe, queues at the Eurotunnel, chaos. Let alone, housing prices, further collapse in the pound sterling, more and more uncertainty.
Some of those are more specific for people in the UK or the EU travelling between those. So if you're stateside, or I want to travel to the States, we're probably not going to experience any issues. There is probably going to be more of an issue for our clients' fulfilment and goods located all around Europe. But I think we'll touch on that in a moment. So at the moment, a no deal is possible, which means we just start with a blank canvas and we just crack on, which to me sounds pretty scary.
Yeah, yeah. The saving grace, and I guess that could be Theresa May, making concessions and adopting a softer Brexit, and more integration, closer ties with Europe. Yeah. And if she gets that passed, there is still the difficulty that she has to go back to Europe and get it approved by Europe again. Yeah. And there could be changes from a European point of view.
So from a negotiation point of view, we're sort of running out of time, aren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how long it takes for our listeners or for yourself to negotiate, but typically those times, there's a bit of time to negotiate. It's not something that happens overnight. And we can see, US clients have seen that with China and Trump and all those different negotiations that happen. Yeah. So we all know that governments take a significant amount of time to do that.
So many cogs that, slowly turn, and so many parties that are interested, and so many people that have to come to the table and agree. And just from a Westminster point of view, where Parliament sits in the UK, it probably looks like a month that any deal that is approved has to get ratified. So you're not looking at the end of March really. You're actually looking at something like the end of February, really for any deal to be approved, and it just brings the timeline in by only 4 weeks. But
I mean, if we already talked about, we've already said that the 29th of January is when the next vote is going to be. That only leaves us 4 weeks between then and, let's say the 28th of Feb. Yeah. To keep the maths simple, it only gives us a short amount of time. So we do only have
the clock is
4
ticking,
weeks.
Yeah.
Really, in real terms. So okay, all right. So a no deal's possible.
Yeah.
What are the other options on the table?
Very, very good question. A second referendum, and this is something that is interesting again because Jeremy Corbyn, who's the head of the Labour Party, is not really ever put his cards on the table, and he is he's a Eurosceptic, and he's the head of a party that's kind of pro-Europe, and so you can see why that's difficult for him. His party, the majority of them, kind of want this second referendum, and now the Labour Party have pushed a motion for Theresa May's Brexit deal to have a second referendum. Yeah. In the weird terms of of politics, and that actually might favour Theresa May. The fact that there are reports that the Labour Party is pushing for the second referendum, and Jeremy Corbyn pushing for a second referendum might actually make some Tory MPs, some Conservative MPs, we prefer to go with Theresa May's deal rather than risk a second second referendum.
Right. Okay.
That's
So it's a bit of a lottery. What could happen? Is that
what
you're saying? Still
so no deal, which would be pretty bad for everyone, and bad for the currency markets, particularly for the pound. Yeah. Second referendum.
Yes.
Could actually favour Theresa May in a weird way. And could be good for the pound, and because it keeps no one really know the timeline, and it'd be more stability and certainty for a little longer.
Yes.
So that could be good. The third possibility, and I think there's something that's probably the most likely, is this Article 50 date being extended and being rolled.
Okay, so instead of it being the 29th of March, which gave us 2 years from when it was triggered, that being extended. Yeah,
so which would bring a lot of the pressure off. So this I think would just require a motion in Parliament to extend that, and maybe extend that to about July time or the summer, to give Parliament more time to actually hammer out a deal internally, and then go back to Europe and just check, hopefully that's all okay.
Okay, so I think what we're saying there at the moment there's a few options, and we don't really know exactly what's going to happen because we're in the hands of the government. Yeah. But come the 29th of January is the key date. When we'll certainly understand a fair bit more.
I hope, fingers crossed, and there is a possibility that Theresa May's deal just gets approved. And the important thing there, and one of the very attractive things for businesses globally, is part of Theresa May's deal is a transition period. So, we wouldn't be crashing out on the 29th of March. We'd have 2 years to implement any plans and negotiate further with the EU. That would take us all the way up to the end of December 2020.
Okay, so we've still got a fair amount of time in that
Yeah.
way, should that happen.
Yeah.
All right, so where does this stand for our e-commerce clients, I suppose, is the big question.
I always think that there's in these times there's always opportunity as well. You know, uncertainty can bring opportunity. So you're a US business selling into the UK. That's immediately going to become cheaper for you. Arguably, it has done since 2016. Particularly in a no-deal Brexit scenario, while the likelihood of that is a little lower than all of the other scenarios, it does create opportunity for a lot of US businesses.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the first key point is there's opportunity to make more money.
Yeah.
That's the first key point that clients are going to be more interested in.
Certainly, and the UK either way is going to be in a position to negotiate trade deals with all different countries all over the place. And we'll be honest, one of the ones that they'll want to knock out first is a trade deal with the US.
Yeah.
Obviously, if the UK's largest trading partner is the EU, second largest one is the US. So that's the other thing to look out for, that future trading relationship, which I think, as things stand, will be very strong and very favourable to both US businesses and UK businesses.
Yeah. And what sort of key questions your e-commerce clients are currently asking you about Brexit?
I guess how's it going to affect the currency market? There's been a lot of uncertainty around the pound, and actually looking at the pound at the back end of 2018, it did resemble something more along the lines of an emerging market currency. It was so volatile, but our clients want to know what the pound could do later on in 2019, and generally it's kind of on the up. It's kind of making it more and more, making it cheaper and cheaper for UK importers to once again buy their goods overseas.
I suppose the next question I'll have is from a fulfilment point of view, how easy is it going to be to get their products from the UK across to Germany or France?
Yeah, I guess that depends on the nature of Brexit and what sort of Brexit we have. Yeah. If it's a no-deal Brexit, that's probably not going to be. It's not going to be good for anyone. It's going to make it very, very difficult. But any Theresa May style Brexit or a softer Brexit, that'll be much more in line with things at the moment. Yeah. And for businesses and businesses in general look for, or in my experience, look from the short to the medium term. Yeah. A transition period, which is what Theresa May's promised and what the EU want. Will make things more certain for 2 years. So actually, for 2 years, nothing might change, and it'd be easy for businesses, no matter where they are, to fulfil different sort of logistic commitments across Europe.
Perfect. So I think we're going to start wrapping this up. So I think the key things, what is the next key date and the thing to look out for, because we're going to run another podcast on Brexit in a month or so's time. To update people. What are the key dates people need to know as of today?
Well, I guess it's important to catch up again in about a month, because things could change. But for us, the next key date would be the 29th of January. Yeah. Parliament is set to vote on Theresa May's Plan B. Yeah. It's kind of Plan B.
Possible Plan B.
On the 29th of March. That's the next key date, and that could give us another update, another indication of what's going to happen in the next month and next 2 years and there and beyond. Amazing.
So, what if any of our listeners want to get in touch with you guys? How can they do that?
So visit the website, OFX.com, or get in touch, corporatelondon@OFX.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, the usual channels. Ask lots of questions. We're here. We're open 24/7 throughout the whole Brexit. We're always open 24/7. But in particular, throughout the whole Brexit and these times of uncertainty, it's always key to be there for your clients, and no limit on transfers whatsoever either. So we're open for business as per usual.
Amazing. Well, I think that's been super interesting. I mean, there's been some really, really interesting stuff that's come out of that. I think the key from us was to give you guys, listening, the opportunity to hear really what Brexit is, where we currently are, and what could happen in the future. and give you the basis of the information that we have as of today. And I think that we're going to do another one in a month's time after the 29th of January date, looking towards the 29th of March, in order for you to understand what's happening now and what's happening next to keep you updated. So I think from us here at Global E-Commerce Experts, we want to say thank you very much to you guys for hosting us here in London, and to Hamish for using his wisdom to help us.
Andy, thank you very much.
No worries.
Cheers.
Amazing to have you on. Thank you. Cheers.
E-commerce expansion myths blasted. Successful cross-border expansion help. Listen to the show to hear how one UK company is helping e-commerce sellers successfully expand into Europe and double their profits. Hosted by Andy Hooper of Global E-Commerce Experts.